All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome one, welcome all to this ChannelVision magazine webinar with C3 Complete. In this presentation, we're going to explore strengthening cybersecurity compliance, leveraging NIST CSF 2.0 for a strategic advantage. I'm your moderator, Brady Hicks, the managing editor for ChannelVision magazine. Joining us today is your host, C3 Complete Vice President of Information Security. His name, Jonathan Cox. How you doing today, JC?
Doing good. It's good to be with you, Brady. Thank you so much, bud.
I'm really excited to check this out. Now, before I turn everything over to you, I wanted to let everybody know that C3 Complete is offering a $100 Amazon gift card to a lucky attendee that stays around through the entire presentation. So you are going to want to stick around and listen to everything that Jonathan has to say. I also want to remind you all that C3 created this webinar to provide you with information. So if you have any questions along the way, there's a little Q&A icon at the bottom of the page. We'll present any questions that you guys send once the presentation is finished. All right, enough from me. Let's turn it over to Jonathan Cox.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Brady. Really appreciate ChannelVision and your support today for allowing C3 to be here to present to the ChannelVision community. So thank you again for your hospitality and bringing us here. So with that said, we're excited here at C3 to introduce strengthening cybersecurity compliance, leveraging the NIST CSF 2.0 for strategic advantage for organizations out in the industry today. And let's go ahead and dive in. Real quick, just want to introduce myself. My role at C3 is the Vice President of Information Security. One of the other key roles I play is a principal security consultant within the organization and inside of our information security division, providing consulting services for our clients. My background spans a wide legacy of executive roles in various capacities, but primarily focused on helping organizations develop their cybersecurity programs along with their cybersecurity risk management strategies for running their organizations. Clients that I've served across the industries have been from regional organizations to national to international organizations in various compliance frameworks. It's been a real treat in my career to be a vCISO the last several years of my career, and I've had a tremendous opportunity in helping companies begin their journey with their cybersecurity compliance programs and help them get started on that journey. And I'd like to just note it's never a destination, it is a journey. It doesn't end, it just begins, and the sooner you get started, the sooner you're in a better position to be in a good position to take on the challenges that are out there today with compliance and risk management. With that, you've got my contact information here. If you have any questions after the presentation, I'll also have this up at the end of the presentation as well. But let's go ahead and dive into the rest of the presentation now. All right, so just a few things here. C3 is making the difference in the industry today. Just a little bit about our organization. We really are a award-winning technology consultancy organization focused and built and headquartered out of Delray Beach, Florida since 2009. We've been focused on customer-driven relationships and also driving strong technology solutions and providing cybersecurity advisory services for our clients throughout our time with them. And we enjoy helping them through their journey as they achieve their technology objectives as well as their compliance and advisory objectives. We take a unique approach to how we support our clients out there today. Key areas that we focus on are cloud-based technologies. We have experts on staff that help assist in consultancy and architecture and also in remote support. And we also spend a great amount of time making sure that end-to-end technology is built securely and compliantly. And we also focus on disaster recovery and resilience in those areas. Our key executives that work with our portfolio of services today include CFOs, which always appreciate our fixed cost approach, and also our CEOs and owners of businesses that appreciate our single point of contact for their needs around telecommunications technology and cybersecurity. In 2024, my division from Compliance Solutions was acquired and has further expanded the offerings in our cybersecurity advisory services. So those are just a little bit of the backgrounds on C3 and what we're doing today out in the industry. With that said, let's dive right into understanding the NIST CSF 2.0. A quick brief history around the NIST CSF. The National Institute of Standards and Technology Cybersecurity Framework was first released in 2014. It was developed in response to the Executive Order the 13636, improving critical infrastructure cybersecurity, issued by President Obama in 2013. The goal was to provide a voluntary framework for organizations to manage and reduce cybersecurity risks. The NIST CSF quickly gained wide adoption across various industries due to its flexible and comprehensive approach to cybersecurity. It is designed to complement, not replace, an organization's existing cybersecurity and risk management processes. Over the years, NIST has continued to update and refine the CSF to address the evolving threat landscape and incorporate feedback from industry stakeholders. NIST CSF 1.1 was released in April 2018, introducing updates to better address authentication and identity, self-assessing cybersecurity risk and managing cybersecurity within the supply chain, and vulnerability disclosure. The NIST CSF 2.0, the latest version, reflects further advancements and changes in the cybersecurity landscape. It includes enhanced guidance and additional resources to better support organizations in managing their cybersecurity risks. So we dive into understanding the NIST CSF 2.0 framework better by understanding the key components and structures of the NIST CSF 2.0 framework. The NIST 2.0 framework maintains the core structure of its predecessors, focusing on 5 key functions: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Each function is broken down into categories and subcategories with specific outcomes and security controls. The identify category, used to develop an organization's understanding to manage cybersecurity risk to systems, assets, data, and capabilities. Categories include asset management, business environment, governance, risk assessment, and risk management strategy. The protect category, used to develop and implement appropriate safeguards to ensure the delivery of critical infrastructure services. Categories include access control, awareness and training, data security, information protection processes and procedures, maintenance, and protective technology. The detect section and category is used to develop and implement appropriate activities to identify the occurrence of a cybersecurity event. Categories include anomalies and events, security continuous monitoring, and detection processes. The response category is used to develop and implement appropriate activities to take action regarding a detected cybersecurity incident. Categories include response planning, communications, analysis, mitigation, and improvements. The recover section, used to develop and implement appropriate activities to maintain plans for resilience and to restore any capabilities or services that were impaired due to a cybersecurity incident. Categories include recovery planning, improvements, and communications. Understanding the NIST CSF 2.0 advantages of adopting the NIST CSF 2.0 in the current cybersecurity landscape has a lot of benefits. Let's talk about a few of those here. Improved risk management. The NIST CSF 2.0 provides a comprehensive framework that helps organizations identify and mitigate risks more effectively. Its structured approach for better its prioritizations of cybersecurity efforts are a really strong aspect of the enhanced resilience part of this framework nowadays. So highly encourage everyone to take a minute on this one. But next, we have the enhanced resilience. By following the framework, organizations can improve their ability to detect, respond to, and recover from cybersecurity incidents, thus enhancing their overall resilience. Scalability and flexibility. The framework is designed to be flexible and scalable. Make it suitable for organizations for all sizes and industries. It can be customized to meet the specific needs of different sectors and organizational structures. Alignment and the best practices. NIST CSF 2.0 incorporates industry best practices and standards, ensuring that organizations are aligned with the latest and most effective cybersecurity strategies. Regulatory compliance. Adopting NIST CSF 2.0 can help organizations meet various regulatory requirements and standards, thus reducing the risk of non-compliance penalties and improving overall governance. Improved communication. The framework provides a common language for discussing cybersecurity risks and practices, facilitating better communication between technical and non-technical stakeholders within an organization. Cost-effective implementation. By providing a structured approach to cybersecurity, NIST CSF 2.0 can help organizations allocate their resources more effectively, leading to cost savings in the long term. Global recognition. NIST CSF is recognized internationally, making it easier for organizations to align their cybersecurity practices with global standards and to do business with international partners. By adopting the NIST CSF 2.0, organizations can better manage their cybersecurity risk in a dynamic threat landscape, enhance their operational resilience, and achieve greater alignment with industry standards and regulatory requirements. So now let's move into the role of NIST CSF in enhancing compliance frameworks. This is a personal favorite one of mine with this platform, this framework, is that it really does help when you have complex environments that you need to figure out how to standardize and minimize duplicate efforts on your compliance and risk management programs. So the NIST CSF 2.0 serves as a comprehensive and flexible framework that can ensure and support various compliance frameworks that can enhance and support those frameworks in multiple ways. Its structured approach to cybersecurity risk management helps organizations meet regulatory requirements, align with best practices, and streamline their compliance efforts. Here's a detailed analysis of how NIST CSF 2.0 acts as a foundation for different compliance frameworks. Start with our favorite one out there in the industry nowadays is the SOC 2 Type 2. It serves as a comprehensive and flexible framework. It's been around for a good period of time, is matured well, and is an accepted practice. The NIST framework can enhance and support various aspects of the SOC 2 Type 2. Its structured approach to cybersecurity risk management helps organizations meet regulatory requirements, align with best practices, and streamline their compliance efforts. Here's a detailed overview of how it acts as a foundation for this particular framework. One, it definitely helps in the SOC 2 Type 2 where reports are designed to ensure service providers securely manage data to protect their interests of their clients and the privacy of their clients' data with their SOC 2 Type 2 reports. Is based on the 5 trust service criteria areas: security, availability, processing integrity, confidentiality, and privacy. Alignment with the NIST CSF. The NIST CSF core functions identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover closely align with the SOC 2 Type 2 criteria. For example, security. NIST CSF protect function covers access controls which align with SOC 2 security criteria. Availability. The recovery function in NIST CSF addresses continuity and recovery plans, aligning with the availability criteria in SOC 2. Confidentiality and privacy. NIST CSF's protect function includes data security measures that align with confidentiality and privacy requirements underneath the SOC 2 Type 2. Additionally, the NIST CSF 2.0 framework works well with the PCI DSS payment card industry data security standards, which is a set of security standards designed to ensure that all companies that accept, process, store, and transmit credit card information maintain a secure environment. Alignment with the NIST CSF access control, both PCI DSS and NIST CSF emphasize strong access control measures. Regular monitoring and testing. NIST CSF detect function with categories like security, continuous monitoring aligns with the PCI DSS requirement for regular monitoring and testing of networks. Risk assessment, the identify function in the NIST CSF supports the risk assessment processes required by PCI DSS. Also, for the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, commonly known as HIPAA, HIPAA requires healthcare organizations to protect patient data and ensure privacy and security. Alignment with the NIST CSF framework, security management process, the NIST CSF identify function helps organizations establish a security management process, a core requirement of the HIPAA regulation. Security measures, the protect function provides guidance on implementing safeguards to ensure data integrity and confidentiality. Incident response, the response function outlines steps for incident response, which is essential for HIPAA compliance. In the ISO 27701, which is an international standard for information security, the alignment with the NIST CSF risk management area, NIST CSF identify function supports the risk management process that are central to the ISO 27701 standards. Security controls, the protect function provides detailed controls that align with the ISO 27701 Annex A controls. Continuous improvement, both NIST CSF and ISO 27701 emphasize continuous monitoring and improvement, which is reflected in the detect and respond functions. With recent updates to the FTC cybersecurity guidelines, the FTC Federal Trade Commission provides guidelines for businesses to protect consumer data and ensure privacy. Alignment with the NIST CSF security controls, the protect function in the NIST CSF outlines security controls that support FTC guidelines for safeguarding customer information. Incident response and recovery, the respond and recover functions provide a framework for handling security incidents, aligning with FTC recommendations for incident response. Risk assessment and management, NIST CSF identify function helps organizations assess and manage risk, which is crucial for compliance with FTC guidelines. Enhancing compliance through NIST CSF 2.0, comprehensive risk management. NIST CSF 2.0 provides a robust framework for identifying and assessing and managing cybersecurity risk, which is a common requirement across all major compliance frameworks. Unified approach. By aligning with NIST CSF, organizations can develop a unified approach to compliance, reducing redundancy and ensuring consistent security practices across different regulatory requirements. Continuous improvement. The NIST CSF emphasizes continuous monitoring and improvement, which helps organizations maintain compliance over time and adapt to new threats and regulatory changes. Scalability and flexibility. The NIST CSF flexible structure allows it to be tailored to an organization's specific needs, making it easier to integrate with various compliance frameworks regardless of the organization's size and industry. Industry best practices. Adopting the NIST CSF 2.0 ensures the organizations are following industry best practices, which can enhance their overall security posture and help meet compliance requirements more effectively. Enhanced communication. The common language and structure of NIST CSF facilitates better communication and understanding among stakeholders, including regulators, auditors, and internal teams. In conclusion, the NIST CSF 2.0 plays a pivotal role in enhancing compliance frameworks by providing a comprehensive, flexible, and industry-aligned approach to cybersecurity risk management. By leveraging NIST CSF 2.0, organizations can streamline their compliance efforts, improve their security posture, and ensure they meet various regulatory requirements effectively. Now we take a look at strategic benefits of implementing NIST CSF 2.0 for organizations. Strategic benefits of implementing NIST CSF 2.0: improving cybersecurity posture and reducing risk. Comprehensive risk management. NIST CSF 2.0 provides a structured approach to identifying, assessing, and mitigating cybersecurity risks, allowing organizations to develop a comprehensive risk management strategy. The framework's core function: identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover, ensure that all aspects of cybersecurity are covered, from proactive threat identification to effective incident response and recovery. Enhanced threat detection and response. By implementing the NIST CSF 2.0, organizations can significantly improve their ability to detect and respond to cybersecurity incidents. The detect function emphasizes continuous monitoring and real-time threat identification, while the respond function provides clear guidance for managing and mitigating the impact of incidents. Continuous improvement. NIST CSF 2.0 encourages a culture of continuous improvement through regular assessment and updating of cybersecurity practices. This ongoing process helps organizations stay ahead of emerging threats and maintain a robust security posture in a very challenging landscape today. Strategic benefits of implementing NIST CSF 2.0: streamlining compliance processes and reducing overlap. First, we have unified compliance framework. The NIST CSF 2.0 aligns with various regulatory and compliance standards such as the SOC 2, the PCI DSS, the HIPAA framework, the ISO 27701 framework, and the FTC guidelines. This alignment helps organizations streamline their compliance efforts by providing a common framework that addresses multiple regulatory requirements simultaneously. Reducing redundancies, which is huge. The framework's structured approach helps organizations identify and eliminate redundancy security controls and processes, making complex efforts more efficient and cost-effective. This reduces the burden of managing multiple compliance programs and allows for better resource allocation. Consistent reporting and documentation. NIST CSF 2.0 facilitates consistent reporting and documentation, simplifying the auditing process. Organizations can use the framework's guidelines to ensure that their cybersecurity practices are well documented and easily auditable, which is crucial for regulatory compliance. Strategic benefits: enhancing business credibility and trust with stakeholders. Demonstrating commitment to security. Adopting the NIST CSF 2.0 shows stakeholders that an organization is committed to maintaining high cybersecurity standards. This commitment enhances the organization's credibility and trustworthiness in the eyes of customers, partners, and regulators. Increased customer confidence. By following a respected framework like NIST CSF 2.0, organizations can assure customers that their data is protected, thereby enhancing customer trust and loyalty. This is particularly important to an industry where data security is a critical concern, such as finance and healthcare. Improved reputation and market advantage. A robust security posture reduces the likelihood of data breaches and other security incidents, positively impacting an organization's reputation. Additionally, organizations that effectively implement the NIST CSF 2.0 can leverage their strong cybersecurity practices as a competitive differentiator, attracting customers and partners who prioritize security. Stakeholder assurance. Adherence to NIST CSF 2.0. Providers assure assurance to investors, board members, and other stakeholders that the organization is effectively managing cybersecurity risks This can improve investor confidence and support long-term business growth. By adopting the NIST CSF 2.0, organizations can enhance their cybersecurity posture, streamline compliance processes, and build greater trust with stakeholders, ultimately leading to a more secure and competitive business environment. All right, so we're going to take a look now at the value of the NIST CSF and implementation strategies for executive leaders. First steps in adopting the NIST CSF 2.0. First, understand the framework. Executive leaders should start by thoroughly understanding the NIST CSF 2.0. This involves familiarizing themselves with its core functions: identify, protect, detect, respond, recover, and with the new govern function. Leaders can leverage resources such as the NIST CSF 2.0 documentation and associated guides to gain a deeper understanding of the framework. Conduct a gap analysis. Perform a gap analysis to assess the current cybersecurity posture of the organization. This involves comparing existing cybersecurity practices with the NIST CSF 2.0 requirements to identify areas that need improvement. This step helps in setting a baseline and prioritizing actions based on the identified gaps. Develop a strategic plan. Create a strategic plan that outlines the steps for adopting NIST CSF 2.0. This plan should include setting objectives, timelines, resource allocation, and key performance indicators to measure progress. Executive leaders should ensure that this plan aligns with overall business strategy and risk management goals. Building cross-functional teams for framework integration. Assemble a diverse team. Form a cross-functional team that includes representatives from various departments such as IT, legal, compliance, risk management, and business operations. This team should be responsible for the implementation and ongoing management of the NIST CSF 2.0. Define roles and responsibilities. Clearly define the roles and responsibilities of each team member. Ensure that everyone understands their specific tasks and how their contributions will impact the overall cybersecurity strategy. This clarity helps in achieving coordinated efforts across the organization. Foster collaboration and communication. Promote open communications and collaboration among team members. Regular meetings and updates can help in addressing challenges promptly and ensure that everyone is on the same page regarding the implementation progress and any adjustments needed. Continual assessment and framework updating. Regular assessment and audits. Conduct regular assessments and audits to elevate the effectiveness of the implemented cybersecurity measures. These assessments should be based on the NIST CSF 2.0 framework guidelines and should help in identifying any emerging risks or gaps in the current security posture. Feedback loop. Establish a feedback loop where insights and findings from assessments are used to update and refine the cybersecurity strategies and controls. This continuous improvement approach ensures that the organization remains resilient against evolving threats. Stay updated with NIST guidance. Keep it abreast of the latest updates and best practices from NIST and other relevant bodies. Incorporate these updates into the organization's cybersecurity practices to ensure ongoing compliance and effectiveness. Training and awareness for all organization levels. Key 3 areas that to focus on with the NIST CSF is executive training. Providing training for executive leaders to ensure they're understanding their role in the supporting and governing the cybersecurity strategy. This includes understanding the NIST CSF 2.0 framework and the importance of a top-down approach to cybersecurity governance. Employee awareness programs. Develop and implement cybersecurity awareness programs for all employees. These programs should educate staff about the basics of cybersecurity, their role in protecting the organization, and specific practices to follow to mitigate risks. Specialized training. offer specialized training sessions for different roles within the organization, such as IT staff, compliance officers, and risk managers. This targeted training ensures that each group has the knowledge and skills necessary to perform their specific cybersecurity related tasks effectively. Regular updates and refreshers ensure that training and awareness programs are not one-time events, but ongoing initiatives. Regular updates and refresher courses help in reinforcing cybersecurity best practices and keep the staff informed about the latest threats and mitigation strategies. By following these strategies, executive leaders can effectively implement NIST CSF 2.0, build a resilient cybersecurity posture, and foster a culture of security awareness across the organization. I'm really excited about what we've talked about today. That was a lot to take in, but I'm excited to see if there's any questions out there. Brady, did you have any that came across that we could address today from the presentation?
Yeah, we've got a few there, Jonathan. First of all, thank you for the presentation.
You bet.
Before we get to the questions, did you want to remind our attendees how they can reach out to you for more information?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So let's dive back there real quick. There we go. If you'd like to reach out, you're welcome to hit me up here on my email or phone number directly. We also have a couple key areas of support that we provide out in the industry and in our consulting capacity, providing our vCISO and security risk assessments, pen testing services, and secure infrastructure architecture, as well as secure cloud architecture for our clients and potential clients. As a little highlight note, we've posted a little URL here that gets you started with the NIST CSF 2.0 with the quick start guides. And these are very resourceful and very helpful. And if you have any questions on them, again, reach out. I'm happy to help you start your journey on this path with the NIST CSF 2.0 framework.
And that sounds like a fantastic resource because this stuff can be really complex. Let me remind everyone that's listening that you can still contribute to the conversation. Click on the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. Okay, so here's one that come in, and I think I have an idea about it, but maybe you could kind of delve in a little bit more. Obviously, we're talking about a pretty high stakes game here. What are some of the risks if you don't go through this extensive process of integrating NIST CSF 2.0 into your framework?
Yeah, I think the challenge that you run into, the high stake risks are that you tend to have confusion in your programs for the organization. So by having something that's very well structured, you're basically reducing your risks of confusion on what people's roles and responsibilities are, and the frequency of different tasks that are aligned with plans, policies, and programs that are established underneath the framework. So I think by streamlining roles and awareness in the program, that's one of the key areas that really the program is designed to help organizations be more efficient and effective. And if you picked up, there was a lot of key areas in the presentation today where it really talked about top-down strategy, from leadership sponsorship all the way through risk and privacy management. It covers a broad set of topics that are very relevant in today's landscape, that are hit on a regular basis by nefarious activities that happen in the industry today. So by having a well-structured program like this, you really give yourself a fighting chance as an organization to be successful with your cybersecurity programs and risk management programs and the investments that you're putting into it.
Okay, great. What are some first steps? Could you talk about first steps that an organization could take when beginning to integrate this into their existing compliance framework?
Absolutely. So I think with anything, if you've got an existing framework that you're working with today and you're looking at NIST CSF and looking at it seriously as a growth and maturity opportunity, first steps are always going to be to take a look at what you're doing currently, and then kind of look at the profiles that the NIST CSF Quick Start Guides provide to identify where you've got gaps. So basically conducting an additional security risk assessment against the current program that you're running in parallel with your NIST CSF framework to see where the gaps are so that you can start developing a roadmap for implementing the framework. And that's a really strategic first start look at what the NIST CSF framework can do for you. But I think even an advanced predecessor to that would be making sure that you understand it. If you're not the executive, getting executive buy-in would be the very first step. If you are an executive looking to implement it, make sure you understand the framework, get the proper support and awareness of the framework so that you can articulate the importance of it to the organization for managing risk to get it the appropriate buy-in that it deserves when you start to roll it out.
Okay, cool. This person wants to know about the NIST CSF 2.0. How does it align with international standards like ISO 27001? What are the benefits of aligning these frameworks?
Yeah, I think the number one benefit that we get from particularly aligning with international standards like the ISO 27001 is that you're giving your compliance and risk management program the flexibility to adopt other standards that are going to show up, especially around privacy, because as you start to cross international lines in your compliance programs, you're going to run into privacy requirements by different countries, different provinces or states, as it would be in the United States, where you have different privacy concerns there. Aligning the NIST CSF, particularly to privacy around the ISO standards, makes it a lot easier to standardize that framework for expansion in the future. As a company grows, I always like to say a company kind of shrinks and inflates over time, and you've got to have a flexible approach to your programs. And the CSF design was built specifically to allow for that flexibility that you're going to need over the course of your time with the program on its journey. So I think that's the key area, is the flexibility that it provides for being able to standardize and reduce repetition in programs. I think that's the biggest area and headache that most practitioners, as well as leaders within organizations, run into, is the overlap of compliance controls and not having something like the NIST CSF to standardize those control sets so that they don't get repetitive in nature and have multiple committees trying to run them, or individuals assigned to it just because it has a different name or different framework name. So I think that's the key area where the alignment can happen.
Okay, cool. Can you provide any maybe specific examples or any case studies where adopting this has significantly improved maybe a company's cybersecurity posture or maybe their compliance or something?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I can't go into specifics. It's not in the nature of the business to give names out, but I think I can go to industry frameworks. I've had a few experiences where we had international and also local companies where they did have privacy requirements that the NIST CSF framework really did facilitate the ability for us to solve two problems that we were running into with other frameworks. One is that the key area is that as you get into the NIST CSF, you're going to find that it has an approach for its tiers. And the tiers really are focused on maturity, and there's 4 tiers. And I think that that's the one area where you tend to find gaps in other frameworks. They tell you this is what you have and this is what you have to have, and you implement it, but you don't really know, is that mature or is it maturing? And with the tiers approach, it really gives you a measuring stick to determine how to classify the evolution of your maturity for those controls and be able to articulate that to both executive leadership and outside auditors and partners, that you are not only serious about your compliance and risk management strategies, but that you have a way to measure the impactfulness of them from year to year to be able to show that maturing factor. So I think that's where I've seen that play out in particular projects across GDPR. I've also seen that work very well with new frameworks being introduced to come, which is the CMMC frameworks for the NIST 800-171. I think taking the tiered approach helps you to put the practicality around your maturity attestation or attesting to that you actually have that maturity there, that you can prove it with the benchmarks that they've provided in the framework. And I've seen that successful with a couple of companies and their rollouts of their cybersecurity programs and risk management programs around the privacy side, and being able to show that maturity year over year. So I think that's the exciting part of what the framework has done for industry case studies around what can happen in the industry today.
Okay, really interesting stuff. What are some of the common challenges that businesses may face when implementing this, and how can they be effectively addressed?
Yeah, I think the number one, everybody gets excited and they go to embrace the framework, and I would say that the key areas that usually come up with resistance first, the first one's always making sure executive sponsorship. So if you overcome that battle, then you're off to the races. Once you've got executive sponsorship, I'd say the second tiered challenge is going to be around defining the controls and the scope. And I think that understanding an organization's processes and how those processes and are managed utilizing the assets of the company, being your people, your technology, and your facilities, managing those processes, getting an alignment exercise completed successfully so that you can align your controls to be most effective is usually the biggest challenge on any real good compliance implementation, because that's where the rubber really meets the road of impact. And so I think having a really good simplified term of business impact analysis against those core business processes, and having them clearly defined with those resources supporting them, so that you can select the proper controls for managing those assets around their compliance and their security and their risk. That's the key area where you see the challenge hit first. And if you have a good strategic coach to get you through that, or if you can spend the time doing the research, that would be the key area to really focus on. Once you've got that well defined, the rest of the pieces of the puzzle tend to fall into place fairly quickly for you. And then it's just a project management rollout and training and improving, and then working on maturity from there year over year.
Okay, great. Here's one that came in actually in a few different forms. So a couple people kind of wondered, you mentioned, Jonathan, how this isn't really like a one and done kind of process.
Yep.
But basically, how frequently should the organization be looking to review and update its cybersecurity measures under NIST CSF 2.0? Just to make sure that they're ensuring compliance and security.
Yeah, that's the great question. I kind of consider it a loaded question, and I'll speak to it for a second on why I consider it loaded. The question's great, and I'll answer it. The loaded side of that question is it really depends on the type of organization and the business that you're involved in. The two key areas that present a challenge with that is that if you're a software company, you're going to have a different set of controls and requirements. If you're a services company, you're going to have a different set of controls and needs around that. So by having clear objectives established around the type of practice or business that you have, can really help you determine how to get the NIST CSF 2.0 implemented successfully for an organization. And it can help establish the frequency in which you need to be reassessing your practices and your procedures and your processes against the risk and the security of those processes and practices. Now, to answer the question, how frequently should this be done? When you look at the framework and you spend a little time digging into its implementation guides, one of the things that you'll find is that it really encourages the creation of internal audit teams or individuals that are assessing those controls. And part of the annex is to determine what the frequency needs to be based on the risk tolerance of the organization. And that should come directly from the executive leadership. So if you're implementing and you're explaining your risk tolerance, or you're getting an explanation of your risk tolerance from your executive level, that's going to help you define how frequent you really need to be reassessing the controls and how frequent they need to be assessed. At a minimum, best industry standard is once a year. You want to be assessing with a security risk assessment your controls and determining your risks against your people, process, technology, and facilities that support those key processes. Now, again, if you're a software company, your assessment's going to probably be more frequently, and it also depends on the type of software company you are, or the supply chain that you're involved in, or the services industry that you're involved in is going to really drastically change that demand on how frequent. Some companies I've seen out there that are software driven, SaaS companies, they are testing that almost on every iteration release of their products, and the changes that it incurs to the processes of their support. For more service-driven organizations where they're not changing that very frequently, it becomes a lot less of a requirement, and it might be more of an industry demand to check that and have it balanced for the overall arching auditors at the end of the year if an audit's required. So I would say that, again, the principles are there, that obviously the more frequent you're doing it, or iterations that you're doing it, balanced against cost, you can have a much more rapidly maturing program. But again, it's also a cost, so you have to be considerate of that. And I think that if you take those considerations that I've shared, you can figure out that frequency and what it should really be.
All right, I have just a couple more questions left here, Jonathan. We'll let you off the hook finally, but it's of interest to people.
All good. It's all good.
Yeah, so this person wants, maybe if you could just kind of run through the process, maybe give them like a timeline that you would present if they're interested in adopting NIST CSF 2.0, something like kind of like a quick visual of what they might expect the process to be.
Yeah, so from ground zero, diving into the NIST framework with minimal risk management or cybersecurity programs in place today, I would say that you're looking at a timeline to implementation. Give yourself a reality check. The reality check is usually about 18 months from beginning to end. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to see improvements within 3 months, 6 months, a year, but to get to the first tiers of maturity, you need to give yourself an opportunity to get it implemented and then be able to test it, and that takes time and resources. So I would say most programs, you're going to want to look at an 18-month life cycle before you're going to gauge how well that's doing, and being able to determine a maturity level. With that said, what to expect on first stages. The first stages, I always highly encourage any organization that's going to adopt the framework is to start with a security risk assessment against a set of controls that are agreed on. That is the base requirement. The good news is that the NIST CSF 2.0 quick start guides can help you establish what those controls should look like based on the size of the organization and the industry that you're in, which can help you really get a jump start on starting the program. And what you would do is conduct a security risk assessment, which usually takes about 6 to 8 weeks from the beginning to the end. From that, you would then have a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, 120-day, 1-year report that gives you a strategy implementation plan to start executing on. Not only does that give you that strategy plan, but it also prioritizes in that risk assessment where your highest risks are that can help you prevent a breach or an incident of severity from happening. Not only does that help you with that 1-year strategy, it also will help you to meet an industry compliance requirement of having a security risk assessment. So if you've got auditors asking, or clients, customers asking for where you currently stand, you have a report that you can provide as part of that. Next, you may be looking at pen testing services to test the integrity and the practicality of your controls and how they're working. And that's something that can take anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks to conduct. But I think the security risk assessments, numero number one. Definitely want to start there. That gives you that launch pad that most people are looking for.
All right. Now, obviously, the cybersecurity landscape, it's always changing and evolving. What could partners, maybe any kind of quick tips for maybe what partners can keep in mind heading into the rest of the year? Any other updates or anything that should be the top of their mind?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I could encourage the partners out there today, and with what we're facing in the industry right now, first and foremost, patch fatigue. Oh my gosh, it's insane. I watch it daily and assist clients across the industries with updates on that and support. But I think where do you get away from patching fatigue? I think the number one thing for partners is that if you're running it underneath a risk management program and you're running it against the processes of a company, you can better determine what patch assets are of the highest importance. And I think that's something that's a really big challenge in today's industry. That is, if you don't have prioritization of patching, and I'm not just talking about how quick you get a patch rolled out, I'm talking about getting a patch rolled out against a business process that directly affects cash flow, getting those assets protected first with the right priorities so that you're chasing the right technology, supporting the right processes, supporting the highest impact factor against cash flow and risks to that business. So building a strategy with risk management and a cybersecurity program with its associated security controls is probably the biggest advocation I can give you today that will truly help an organization keep their hair on their head, if that helps.
I could definitely use some more hair on my head, so we'll we'll look
And
into
in a form that doesn't require an investment into Rogaine. Great.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention C3 Complete. And this person wants to know, how can C3 kind of help prepare for some of these considerations?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that if you reach out to us, we can sit down and start a consultation. We can start with the risk assessments, but more importantly, we can provide you a virtual CISO who can project manage and guide and be that expert in taking on this cybersecurity journey, because it is a lift. Building compliance and risk management is not a faint-hearted activity, but it is one that carries merit and a lot of benefit. And C3 Complete really does have a tremendous portfolio, from being everything from a cybersecurity advisory asset to an organization to helping with strategic technology solutions. And we have a great depth of providers and vendors that we leverage and can use to be a one-stop shop to provide turnkey management across the entire portfolio of your technology stack, as well as your advisory cyber needs as well. So I think C3 brings it, as it says in our name, it's a C3 Complete. We can be a complete turnkey solution for any organization that's looking for support and help in these areas. So we're excited to be able to provide that, but we also have a great portfolio of partners that help fulfill these needs across the industry for our clients today.
All right, that's great. And with that is going to do it for the webinar presentation. I want to thank C3 Complete's Vice President of Information Security, Jonathan Cox. Jonathan, thank you so much for the time today.
Yeah, thank you, Brady. Thank you again to the ChannelVision community and also to your team's support. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Of course, you're the best, JC. So I wanted to let you all know that the winner of the $100 Amazon gift card will be contacted after the webinar by a representative from C3 Complete. Also a reminder that if you missed any of this webinar, you can find it, as well as past ChannelVision presentations, on demand by visiting our website at channelvisionmag.com. I also want to remind you that CVX Expo 24 returns November 12th through 14th for the third year running at the Talking Stick Resort in Scottsdale, Arizona. Attendees and exhibitors include TSDs, MSPs, resellers, trusted advisors, consultants, and wholesale communications, cloud solution, business IT, and security providers. An all-inclusive ticket grants channel partners access to everything the event has to offer. For more information, visit cvxexpo.com. And now, from all of us at ChannelVision Magazine, from our good friends with C3 Complete, take care, be good to one another. Bye-bye.